If you've been researching second residencies or citizenship by investment, you've probably experienced something I call analysis paralysis. Because one source tells you, go to Paraguay. Another tells you, buy a Caribbean passport. A third tells you, you need to have a residency in Europe. The problem is not the number of options. The problem is that people start to compare their programs before understanding their own framework. My name is Mustafa, and on this channel, I cover global mobility, residencies, citizenship by investment, with a focus on strategy and clarity, not sales pitches. Let's get into it. When I look at people and see how they make investment migration decisions, the ones that end up with the right solution almost always work through three questions before looking at a single program. Question number one, why do you want this? What is the underlying motivation? Question number two, when do you need this? What does your timeline actually look like? And question number three, what are your constraints? What are the real boundaries? Be it financial, legal, personal, because those boundaries put together might actually reshape the whole set of options that are available to you. Most people actually think only about the first question. And even then, they often get it wrong because they think about it too broadly. So let's get into it. Almost everyone pursuing a second residency or a citizenship falls into one of four categories. Most people have a primary one and a secondary one. Understanding which one is primary is really important because it can point you to a fundamentally different decision. The first motivation is freedom of movement, and this is about mobility. The ability to travel easily with spontaneity. You can access key markets quickly. You don't need to think about visas, embassy appointments. You don't need to think about rejections, paperwork, and all of these. You just have a meeting, you book a ticket, and you go. And this is a key motivation for those whose lives depend on traveling frequently, such as entrepreneurs, globally mobile professionals. The second motivation is security. For others, the motivation is simply having a genuine plan B if circumstances change, be it politically, socially, or financially. And we've seen how quickly environments can change. And those that were able to quickly pivot and move to another country were those that have a setup already in place. So security can mean something very specific, can mean different things to different people. It can give you the ability to live somewhere, to work in another country, to access banking, to protect your family's options essentially without having to move tomorrow. So this motivation is less about moving tomorrow and more about having the option or the choice in case it's required. The third motivation, it's about building a life somewhere. It's about lifestyle and family. Now for some people, the motivation isn't flexibility. It's about stability in a very specific place where they want to raise children, where they can send their kids to education, where they want to retire. Now, it's a place where daily life feels the way you want it to feel. It's a certain culture that you enjoy, maybe weather, maybe the whole environment. But the goal of this group of people is to relocate today. And obviously this motivation points towards a different kind of solution because you're not really looking for something to instantly improve your mobility. You're looking to live in a place that is agreeable to you, to your family. So this motivation usually points towards a residency by investment. The fourth motivation is about wealth and structure. Now for this particular group, the motivation is very structural, I would say. It's about financial and asset planning. It's about lowering their tax exposure. It's about having better banking access, investing across multiple jurisdictions. It's about protecting and growing their wealth across borders. But I want to be precise about something because there is something here that is constantly misunderstood, which is that by acquiring a citizenship or a residency in a particular country, you have automatically lowered your tax rate. Obviously, that is completely wrong because there are a lot of things and a few pillars you need to work together towards to be able to do that. So your immigration status, your tax residency, and your whole life and personal situation need to be all aligned for you to be able to address that tax situation perfectly. And it requires obviously tax and legal specialists. So the right program for a wealth motivation is not the one generally with the lowest tax headline. It's the one that fits properly into a well-structured plan. Now, until now, we've covered the first dimension, which is about the why, which is about understanding what your motivations are. And understanding those obviously will point you to a set of solutions. But you need to look at your whys along with your timeline, because the timeline can actually change your set of solutions. And it's not just about a timeline or a random time that you put. It's thinking about it in a different way. Thinking about it in the sense of, when do I need this to be functional for me? When do I need this to work? And you can think about it in 3 timelines. One is immediate, i.e. in the next 12 months, for example. The medium term would be from 12 to 36 months, from a year to 3 years, and a longer term horizon would be more than 3 years. Each set of timeline gives you a different set of solution. So if you are rushed and you need something right away to improve your mobility, and you're looking to close on a passport within a year, then that narrows down your entire set of solutions. If you have a slightly longer time, then you might be considering multitude of options and see how you can combine them together. If you're looking even further than that, maybe your kid's education is coming up, maybe you want to retire after a few years, so you have more time to think about the future, you have careful time to plan it, and you can actually make the right investments and the right strategies in place to achieve that longer timeline, because it's not really urgent. So with every timeline, the thought is different, the approach is different, and hence the strategy is different, and the program obviously is different. One very important caveat on timelines is that the investment migration space changes a lot in terms of its offerings. So the programs that are available today may change, might tighten, might even completely disappear. And we've seen many examples of that over the years. We've seen European programs that are completely off the market now. Some have changed. We've seen Caribbean programs whose value has almost doubled. So the space isn't really constant. So a long-term strategy that is built around a particular program is really a fragile one. You need to identify the motivation. You need to understand the category of solution that fits your timeline. And then we build a solution around it. Up until now, you would probably have a very good understanding of what your motivations might be. Why are you trying to do this in the first place? You've probably categorized yourselves, identified the primary, maybe secondary motivations. You've probably also looked at the timeline and understood, when do I need this to be functional by? Combining those two with the third element or the third dimension is really essential, which is constraints. Looking and understanding your constraints is really essential. And this is one that people completely skip, and it's a big mistake, because constraints often determine the shape of the solution that is available to you more than the motivation or the timeline does. Now, I've categorized 5 key constraints which I believe are worth examining. The first one is your existing citizenship and dual citizenship rules. Now, some countries do not permit their citizens to have a second citizenship, like Indonesia, for example. Now, if your country restricts your ability to do that, unless you're willing or planning to drop that citizenship, the entire solution set may be completely unavailable to you, and you might be looking at residency options. So this is really a non-negotiable when it comes to establishing whether or not you can look at citizenships in the first place. And this is a really key concern to consider. Second constraint is your investment capacity. Now, you have investments in residencies or citizenship that can start from maybe 90,000 and they go up to millions. Really depends on the set of solution that you're looking at. And I always say this to people, you need to start looking at citizenships or residencies by investment as an asset class, just as you would look at equities, fixed income, real estate, cryptocurrencies, metals, etc. You need to consider this. But like any other asset class, you would need to diversify part of your holdings in it. And it's up to you to determine what that budget is. And based on that budget, that creates a set of solutions that is adequate or suitable to the budget that you're looking at. And obviously that can grow over time, but having an understanding of what that budget is will really help you in narrowing down your field of options. The third constraint is about your ability to spend time in the country. Now, obviously, some programs require physical presence to maintain. Others do not. But understanding how your life is structured, if you need to be in a particular country or region to manage your business, to do your work, then that kind of limits your options to select programs that have a physical requirement, no matter how attractive they might look. Fourth constraint is your family situation, whether your spouse holds a different citizenship, whether you have dependents that rely on you, you have elderly parents, that whose situation affects you. Understanding all of your personal and family situations and needs is really important because it shapes what solutions are practical to you. Final constraint is your professional or business requirements. Now, some professions have jurisdictional requirements which affect actually which countries they can be based in. You might be a lawyer, you have a law office, you're a doctor, you're a financial services professional, and these things require certain licenses if you are going to operate or reside in different markets. So understanding what certain licenses you require, if you're looking at a residency option, that becomes really imperative here. These are the 5 constraints that you need to be thinking about. And honestly, working through them is not really about limiting your ability. It's making sure that whatever solution you end up pursuing is actually one that you can execute, not one that just looks good in a certain brochure. What I want to do now is I want to take this 3-dimension framework that we just discussed, and I want to apply it to a real profile and see what we actually come out with. Now let's take an entrepreneur who's based in the GCC. He has his family, and together as a family, they care deeply about having a genuine plan B. And this is essentially their primary motivation. Their secondary motivation is about mobility. For them, they travel a lot as a family, mostly in Europe or Asia. Visa friction is a real pain for them. When it comes to timeline, they're not really in a rush, not in a crisis. Ideally, they're looking for something within the next year to 2 years. As for their constraints, their home country does not have a restriction when it comes to dual citizenship, so that's not an issue. When it comes to their investment capacity, it's meaningful. They're not looking to deploy more than $1 million into a program or a set of solution. The issue is that their business requires them to be primarily based in the Gulf. So any program that has a strict rule with regards to physical presence is not really a suitable option for them. So what does the framework produce? Their primary motivation, which is security, something like a European residency could really help them with that. Something like Greece, Portugal, or Malta are all programs that don't require full relocation. And over time, something like Portugal can actually turn into a citizenship over a longer period of time, which can actually deliver a deeper plan B that they're looking for. When it comes to their secondary motivation, which is mobility, certain Caribbean CBI programs like St. Kitts, Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada are all great programs for that aspect. They can give them access to European countries. They can deliver a passport in a reasonable period of time. So the likely answer for a profile like this is a Caribbean citizenship for improved mobility and a European residency for a strong and a long-term plan B and deeper security. 2 solutions, 2 different jobs, 2 different timelines. So notice what the framework did. It did not really tell them which specific program to choose. It told them which category of solution works better for their situation. And it ruled out a whole lot of other programs. Detailed program selection, the due diligence, the compliance requirements, the tax implication of your nationality. This is where professional guidance becomes essential. Here's the exercise that I want you to do before you look at another program, another ranking, anything in that space. Write down 3 things. First, what is your primary motivation? Is it mobility, security, lifestyle and family, or wealth structuring? Be honest with yourself about which one is actually driving your decision. Second, write your real timeline. Not your ideal timeline, your actual timeline that you need this solution to be functional by. Third, write any of your constraints, be it dual citizenship in your home country, is it your investment capacity, ability to spend time abroad, write all of them down. Once you have those 3 things clearly defined, you will find that the solution set narrows down completely. And most programs will become immediately irrelevant to your situation. And a small number of them will actually be worth examining. So the goal at that stage is not to make a final decision, but to actually narrow down the field from everything in the world to actually a category of solution that fits your situation. There is one thing that I can leave you with, is that mobility decisions rarely fail because people choose the wrong program. They fail because people never stop to understand what they're actually optimizing for. Out of the four motivations, mobility, security, family, or wealth, what is the one that is primarily driving your interest in investment migration? And what is your timeline? Tell me in the comments. Your answers genuinely shape what I cover next, and subscribe so that you don't miss it. And I will see you in the next one.